Welcome to episode 62 of the Woman of Faith in Leadership podcast. I'm Rika, Whelan, your host, and we're in the middle of a four-part series called Gaining Confidence in Your Own Abilities. And this is part 2, where we'll be talking about personal development. Now, in part 1, I actually spoke to you about the importance of spiritual growth and how spiritual growth can really help you to gain confidence in your own abilities. So if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, I would highly recommend that you go back to episode 61, where I discussed part 1, spiritual growth. Now, in this episode, I'll be talking to you about personal development and how, when you develop yourself and the importance of personal development, how they can help you to gain confidence in your own abilities. Let's do it. Leading as a woman is tough, but leading as a woman of faith is next level. However, it doesn't have to be that way. God has called you into this leadership role because He says you are worthy. You are His child, and if He qualifies you, who in this world can unqualify you? You might suffer from imposter syndrome and believe you're not good enough, but God says you are good enough. Hi, I'm Rika, Whelan, Christian leader and workplace culture coach, and together we're going to navigate leadership with faith as our foundation. Let's get started. Grab your coffee or water, keep that notebook and pen handy, and let's jumpstart your leadership. Personal development is actually quite interesting because when you are talking about personal development, you're talking about developing yourself, and that can be quite ambiguous because what does personal development even really mean? I mean, if you go and have a look at a definition in a dictionary, you can find out what that means. But I think that, personal development for me means when you are willing to look at what you are doing at the moment that's not working. So you are looking at and you're reflecting on, okay, let's take it in the context of the not having confidence. So let's say it like this. So if you are someone that doesn't have confidence at the moment in your own abilities, you need to go and reflect first and foremost on what is it that's causing me to have a lack of self-confidence. Is it other people? Is it the fact that I lack certain skills or certain knowledge or a qualification for that matter? So personal development is going to be something that's really unique to you because personal development means, yes, developing you as a person, okay? But that will look different for every single person listening, or to every listener and to every single person on this earth. So I think the importance of personal development, of course, is for you to develop yourself, but to develop your own skills, develop your own self-confidence, your own awareness. There's actually so many things that are important with that. But for you as the listener here, talking about gaining self-confidence in your own abilities, I think it's more about like believing in yourself. And that was a very roundabout way to say that. But I think that when it comes to personal development, you're going to have to decide, why is this important to you? Why is it so important to you to gain confidence in your own abilities? What is it that you are looking for? And so this episode is a tricky one because, and I'm going to challenge you in this episode because looking inward can be very, very tough. It can be very tough to dissect every single thing that you do or don't do that causes yourself to have a lack of self-confidence. And if there are other people, if you've just identified before, as I mentioned, that other people are causing you to have a lack of self-confidence. Let's say, for example, there's someone at work that's constantly breaking you down. It's a partner that's constantly breaking you down, or it's even in it's an historical event where someone in your childhood said something. And because of that thing that they had said, you have a lack of self-confidence as an adult, for example. I definitely don't have self-confidence when it comes to singing, for example, in front of other people. Oh, I'll sing very loudly in my car when I'm all alone. But I do not have self-confidence to sing in front of other people because of an historical event. When I was much younger, someone told me that I don't sing very well. And actually, it's interesting because it wasn't only one person who said that. It happened in high school, and it happened once or twice actually after school as well. And so, of course, I lack the self-confidence in my own singing abilities because a couple of people have told me that I don't sing very well. So, but look, I definitely don't have the confidence to sing in front of other people, but I will sing as loudly as I want to in my car because then nobody can criticize me. But this is a good example of how an historical event like that can actually cause us to have and experience the lack of self-confidence. So if you're experiencing a lack of self-confidence, what I would do if I were you is I would start the self-reflecting process. Go back to try and understand, why is it that I have this lack of self-confidence in a certain area? Because also remember, you don't lack self-confidence necessarily. This is a very broad statement. But you don't lack self-confidence necessarily in every single part of your life. You might only lack self-confidence at work in this part, or like, for example, your presentation skills. Or you might lack self-confidence in your ability to write up a report. But there are other things in your job that you do really well that you have a lot of self-confidence for. It's the same in your personal life. You might feel extremely confident talking to your child over a certain topic, but you might lack self-confidence in a different area to talk to your child about. So just trying to explain it to you in that space. I don't think, and again, it's a very broad statement, if you lack self-confidence in every single part of your life, then that's definitely a bigger issue altogether. But what I would do is, when you start the self-reflecting process, is go and sit at the feet of God. Go and say, God, can you reveal to me, what is this historical event? What is this thing that has pulled me down all these years? Show me, what is this historical event that has caused me to have this lack of self-confidence? Because I want to deal with it and I want to come and heal from that situation. And once you start that reflecting process, go and think about the historical, why did that happen? Then I would go and dissect that information and go and ask yourself, but is that actually true? The thing that person said, is it actually true? So look, let's go back to my singing, okay? Yes, all three of the people who criticized me for my singing, 100%, they're right. I cannot sing. And I won't sing on the podcast, I promise. This is a talking, not a singing podcast. But yeah, they're right. I never had any singing lessons. I can't hold a tone. I can't, sing. I definitely won't be, winning any awards. Maybe the Rotten Tomatoes award for singing very badly. But the thing is, I know that to be true, and I am, I'm just embracing it. I'm not going to let that cause me any harm. I'm not going to let that cause me any damage, because it's actually something that's true. Can I do something about it? Yes, I can actually do something about it. I can go for singing lessons. But do I want to do something about it? No, I actually don't want to do anything about it, because it's not something that I feel is going to enhance my life in any way, shape, or form. So if the thing that you have been criticized for, or this historical event that somebody has said something about you, go and find out, go and figure out, go and journal about it, go and ask God about it, go and just journal about it and say, but is this thing actually true? And then if it is true, then you think, okay, but do I want to do something about this? Is it so important to me that I actually want to change that? Okay, to use my singing example, I don't want to do anything about that because it's not going to enhance my life. So this thing that somebody has said about you, is it true? And if it's true, what are you going to do about it? So then, if it's not true, then you need to go and think, okay, but why is it bothering me so? If what that person had said is actually not true, then why am I so worried about this? Then why am I letting this bring me down? Why am I letting what another person has said hurt me? And I would then basically follow a path of healing from that, going to the Lord and saying, Lord, I want to heal from this thing that I know is not true. I know for a fact that it's not true. This is not from you, because in you, I can do anything, I can be anything, and I am worthy. And this is back to part one where I talked about the importance of spiritual growth, because the more you grow in God, the more you will grow in your abilities, because you see yourself through His eyes, not through your own eyes and not through the world's eyes. So yeah, I think so reflection is really going to be that first thing that you're going to do. Go and figure out, is it true? The historical event, why am I feeling like this? Why do I have a lack of self-confidence in this? And then is what that person said true or not true? If true, then do I need to change this, because is it going to enhance my life in some way, shape, or form? And then okay, I need to go and do some personal development on that area. I need to go for singing lessons, for example. I need to go and learn how to do a presentation, or I need to know how to, how to handle conflict, whatever that might be. If it's not, then you're going to say, well, no, this is not going to enhance my life. I know it's not true. I know what that person said is not true. It's not me. And I'm declaring that I'm going to see myself through God's eyes. Okay, so that was actually basically number one, which is reflection. Go and figure out, why is it that you have a lack of self-confidence? Which area do you have a lack of self-confidence in? And then go and reflect on it. After that, what I would do if I were you is I would and I have actually done this before. I'm saying if I was you right at this point in time, but I have been you. I have been there before. And every single time when I'm tackling something new in my podcast or in the business, I'm kind of back to square one. I'm like, okay, I don't have self-confidence in this, but what am I going to do about it? And so engage in continuous learning is number two. So for example, every single time now when I've tackled something new, like the podcasting world, I actually bought a course on how to be a successful podcaster. And because I've done that, I can see some real good traction and the downloads for my podcast. I can actually track the metrics. I can see what keywords and what language people are using. That's a whole nother world. Like, I never knew anything about podcasting before I actually became a podcast host, but I made sure that I did some learning on that area. I didn't just jump in and launch the podcast. I actually went to go and learn about it. And then another example is I'm creating a diagnostic tool at the moment that I want to provide to organizations, and it can identify the gaps that they have in their organization when it comes to workplace relationships, workplace culture, systems that they have in place, expectations, accountability, and a couple of other things, okay? So I'm building out this diagnostic tool that people can actually take for free. So as soon as it's ready, I will share it with you. And I'm building out this tool, but the back end work of this tool, I've been figuring it out for a very long time. But as I go, I'm watching YouTube videos, I'm checking out this software, and then this software doesn't work for me, then I go to the next software. So I'm troubleshooting all the time, because believe me, I have no coding skills. I'm very technical in the space of I'm good with computers and I can figure something out, okay? Marie Forleo, I don't know if you know who she is, but she says everything is figure outable. And so for me, I'm now figuring out the software, the back-end software of building out a diagnostic tool, okay? And it's been interesting and I'm learning a lot, but I'm going to figure it out because I believe in this diagnostic tool. I believe it can help everyone and it's going to be free. So that's great. So yes, if you do not have confidence in a certain area of your life, what's the next thing that you're going to do? You're going to go and learn about that. And very long time ago, I had an absolute fear. I still do have that fear sometimes, but because I've done learning about it, I'm not so scared anymore. So the thing that I was absolutely petrified about is public speaking. I'm absolutely petrified, and I had a really bad experience doing public speaking. It was sprung on me at one of my workplaces. It was sprung on me that I had to do a presentation in front of the school. It was at a school, and there was about 500 staff. Okay, But they didn't give me a lot of information. They said presentation, but they didn't give me any more information. It was the most vaguest information I have ever had, and it's my fault. I should have asked more information. So they did let me know a week before, but they didn't give me any information about what a previous presentation looks like, what's the format of that, how many minutes do I have, what's going to be the expectation. There was nothing. It was just like, would you do a presentation next week on this? I was like, sure. And so literally the morning of, because now I hadn't thought about it again for another week. Nobody asked me, like, do you have a presentation that we need to put up on the screen to have it ready? Or, and again, like I should have asked. I'm not blaming them. I should have asked. And so the morning of, I was like, oh, do you still want me to do that thing today? And they're like, yes, it's all locked in. It's like on the agenda and everything. I was like, oh, okay, sure. But anyway, got to this presentation, and there's 500 staff looking at me while I'm standing on the podium and talking to them. I had prepared a little speech, but I was all over the shop. Like, these people were looking at me. I was shivering in my boots. I just did an awful job. I did an absolute awful job. And before this, I already had a bit of a fear of public speaking. But this, oh my goodness, this just put me over the edge. I felt sick to my stomach, and I literally wanted to vomit for about 4 hours after that, because it went awful. It was an awful situation. You've got 500 people looking at you. I was unprepared, which was the biggest thing. I was unprepared. And afterwards, I got the feedback that, oh, you should have actually really had a PowerPoint presentation, or, you should have. And I was like, that would have helped me so much. I wish you had said something. But anyway, so I had to get over my fear of public speaking, because I was not going to let it hold me back. But I will say that for the rest of the time that I actually worked there, I never got invited back to speak to the staff again. I did a very poor job, I will not lie. And so that gave me a little bit of a setback. And ever since then, I've been really, really petrified of going to do public speaking. And I really want to do it. I want to get on stages and talk to women of faith in leadership. I want to get on stages and talk about workplace culture, talk about the detrimental effects of gossip. But I'm so scared. So what am I going to do about it? I have now engaged in learning on how to become a confident public speaker. Okay, so I've done the learning, but is that going to be enough? Am I now just all of a sudden going to walk on a stage and I'm going to be like, voila, perfect public speech? No, unfortunately not. So the next thing is number 3, to actually go and practice the thing that you are gaining self-confidence in. So now the next thing that I actually have to go and do is I have to go and practice it. So I'm not going to be perfect on a speech. I'm not going to be just like, okay, I've got my speech all set out. There is like 1,000 or 500 people, let's say 500 people looking at me, and all of a sudden I'll be fine. No, my heart will be racing. My heart will probably be in my throat, for that matter. All these people will be looking at me. I'll be sweating. My palms will be sweating, all these things. But what's going to be the difference is the fact that I had a strategy before. I had practiced before the time, and I was prepared. Okay, so I'm going to go and practice it. To gain self-confidence in anything, you need to practice it. And then after you've practiced it, you need to seek feedback. So after you have done the thing, you need to get feedback from people so that you can then go and make further improvements. So now you need people to say to you, okay, you did an amazing job, but it was very clear that you were very nervous. And because you were very nervous, your voice was shaky. And you stayed quiet for about 5 to 10 seconds at one point in time, and people were getting a little bit restless, so just getting that feedback, and then hearing back from other people who can help you to be better. So basically, the overarching idea of this whole episode is that you have to step out of your comfort zone to gain confidence in something. You can't just sit behind a computer and learn about something and then go and do it in the real world, and then you're going to be perfect. I mean, if there are some people out in the world that can do that, kudos to them, but unfortunately it's just not a reality. So this is where personal development comes in, is if you are going to invest in your own personal development, because as soon as you gain confidence in that thing that's holding you back, you will have more self-confidence in your whole life because of this one. Because sometimes one little thing that we don't have confidence in can really hold us back. But as soon as you actually conquer that thing that is holding you back, you will gain more self-confidence in the long run and in holistically, basically, than what you had before. So yes, this episode is definitely a more challenging one, where I'm going to challenge you to go and do something about it. You can't just sit and listen to this podcast and gain self-confidence. This is a 4-part series about how to gain confidence in your own abilities. You can literally not just be listening to this podcast and then at the end of the podcast, I've got confidence, woohoo! Sorry, I'm being a little bit sarcastic now, but the point is you cannot do that. You have to physically go out and do something about it. Okay, so my biggest challenge for you with this episode is go and find out what is it exactly that's causing you to have a lack of self-confidence. And then go back and go and find out why is that. And then from the why, you're going to go and do the learning. So reflect is number 1, that you've just done that. Number 2 is you're going to go and do some learning about that. And then number 3, you're going to go and practice the thing. And then number 4, you're going to seek feedback. And then the overarching idea is that you are going to have to step out of your comfort zone to grow as a person and in your own abilities. I really, really, really hope that this episode would have blessed you. I know that it's a difficult one and I can be really challenging, but the point is that I just can't sit back and just give, tell you this is going to be so easy. Just go and do it that way and you'll be fine. Because that is not a reality. Then I will be lying to you. The aim of this podcast is to give you the tools and the strategies on how to be a better leader, how to be a better woman of faith in leadership, so that you can not only challenge yourself, but you can challenge your team in the same manner, and you can be overall and holistically just be a better person. So I love all of you listeners. I love you, and I love connecting with you on the Facebook group. So if you want to come and join the Facebook group, you can go on Facebook and just search under groups Women of Faith in Leadership, or you can go to womenoffaithinleadership.com and there will be a link that you can go and join the community. It's very important that you please answer the questions on the Facebook group, because I actually use that to inform my podcast episodes. So, and this series actually comes off of an answer to one of the questions that one of the listeners had put in. So thank you very much for the listener who had asked this question about how to gain confidence in your own abilities, because you inspired me to do this series. So yeah, I look forward to chatting with you again next week, where I'll be going through another way that you can gain self-confidence. Actually, we've got 2 episodes left, so over the next 2 weeks on how you can gain confidence in your own abilities. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll chat to you again soon. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. If this podcast blessed you in some way, the number 1 way you can thank me is by leaving a review. Your feedback means the world to me and lights me up every single time when I read it, and it makes me want to keep going. So please leave a review, and your review will also help other Christian women in leadership find the answers they are looking for. So whether you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the review section and leave that review. Then head over to womenoffaithinleadership.com and join our free Facebook community, and I look forward to engaging with you there.